Ladies and gentlemen, you have stumbled into Kagekaze's domain where I have been doing Diablo 3 playthroughs and character analysis. Unfortunately, before I could finish all of my characters with patch 13, Blizzard put out a new beta patch and we are now on patch 14. So, what I'll be doing is skipping the end of the Wizard for now and moving on to the Barbarian to kind of cover some more of the details of patch 14 and to give you a full playthrough with the new changes therein. I will be going back to the Wizard afterwards, though, as they did not wipe characters this time. As you can see, my characters still exist on the server, so we're able to make all these changes without having to do that. Now, there is one thing I noticed at the character creation screen, and another thing I noticed in the options, and this is very nice, actually. You may notice that all of my check marks have been saved here for displaying health and all that, for turning on tutorials, and for having elective mode on. So it looks like that will keep now between sessions. But one thing I'm going to do here is I'm going to take the sound and I'm going to turn down the music for a moment. Because something I noticed, and I hadn't noticed this before, so it could be new for this patch, or it could just be that the music always drowned it out. I'm going to go in here into the character creation. And you may notice as you pick each character, there's a sound effect accompanying their introduction stance. So I hadn't quite noticed that before, so I can't really say if it's new or not. But I like it. So this playthrough is going to focus on the Barbarian first. And what I'm going to do is going to go ahead and grab my experience gear so that we can move on to that since the Wizard still has it. And then we'll move on to all the changes that we have in the patch. Well, ladies and gentlemen, I've hit a slight snag here, it looks like. Apparently, they've changed around the way some items work. As you can see here, this is my Wizard, and I've only moved a couple items that had experience. But there are other items I have now that I can no longer wear. For example, this Serpent Skin Thorn. This was, I believe, crafted. And it used to allow me to wear this at level 3. As you can see, the requirement is now level 17. It's still on my character, but I'm not sure if I'm actually going to get any benefit from it. And the books that I talked about last time that I normally couldn't wear because it was too high of a level for me to use has once again been increased in level to 13. So, thankfully, this means at the end of the beta, I can still wear it once I hit level 13 as the cap, but it means that now, instead of level 8, I can't wear it at this point. So I just kind of wanted to point that out as I was moving some things around. And it looks like the shoulders I had with plus experience on them have been upgraded to level 12 as well. So definitely some things moved around. Halfway surprising that they... Well, I can't really say surprising, but this was probably one of the reasons why they did character wipes before. So that's kind of interesting to see, but at least they have a way around it now where it just locks it out. Alright, so I'm going to go ahead and keep working here, and I'll be right back. Alright, ladies and gentlemen, I wanted to take a quick look at something here that I don't believe I can do just yet, but at the character creation screen, the Hardcore Hero box, as you can see, still here says that it can only be done after completing normal. However, in the patch 14 notes, hardcore mode should now be available, and it should be unlocked by reaching level 10 with at least one character. So what's probably happened here is because I have pre-existing characters, it won't trigger until I get a character leveled up to 10. So we will kind of take a look at that as well. So, since we are talking about hardcore characters now, what I'd like to mention too is for those of you going to do hardcore, you might want to be careful because it looks like healing effects across the board in this patch have been nerfed by about 50%.
This place reeks of death. The fallen star.
Alright, and if you're doing co-op, another change that might make the game a little bit harder is that cast time to resurrect a fallen ally has been increased. It used to be about 1 second. It is now 3 seconds. Alright. Now, I talked about one of my other videos about magic and gold find being shared amongst party members. Basically, the magic and gold would be averaged amongst every party member in your...
I seek the fallen star.
Would be averaged amongst every party member that you have. So, you know, if you have one person with 100 and another with none, you get 50% for both of you. Well, apparently that was an addition to this patch. So they talked about it on the forums, but the change didn't happen until now. Okay, and let me real quick get the music back on for you guys. There we go. Alright, there have been some changes to elective mode that I'm hoping to go over here once I hit level 2. So they're trying to make advanced users have an easier time of getting their skills. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab all of my gear here at once. And we'll be putting it on. Go ahead and use my 7.5 weapon now. So I might kill a little quicker than normal here at the beginning, but that's okay because there's definitely been some changes that came through. So let's go ahead to the merchant, get rid of the starter gear that I had. Now, since I talked a moment ago about some of the items that I could make and how they've changed, I went ahead and looked at the crafting screen, and there have been massive changes to the way the blacksmith works right now. A lot of items that we could craft before have been taken away. Let's go to the armor. First and foremost, you'll notice that the basic belt that you could make that required level 3 that was rare is now gone. So they've made it, it looks like they've made it so that there aren't any rare items for low-level characters anymore, at least from the blacksmith, or they might be dropped from patterns, as they have added achievements to the game. I don't believe they'll be effective here in the beta, but apparently you can, when you teach the blacksmith the recipe, you get an achievement from it. But you'll notice that most of the other things that you could use, like low-level, are pretty much gone, the belt being the pretty much most glaring one. So there's a lot of stuff here. I haven't gone through everything, so I don't know exactly what's missing, but if I go here to weapons, what you might notice here too, if we talked about demon hunters, how level 13 demon hunters had the highest damage potential in the beta because of the rare crossbows. Well, if you look here, I've got everything, I've got the filter on for everything. There's only one crossbow here now at level 4, or it's a regular crossbow. Let's see if we can't find the, here's the bow, the axe, crossbow. Here we go, here's the hand crossbow. So there's 2, and it looks like you can't even use either one of them in the beta. So there's not even a low-level hand crossbow that you can craft in the beta. And the rare one is completely gone. And not to mention, if I go down here to the source, which is what the wizard's offhand is, only the level 18 blue exists. So the rare book that I made can't even be made anymore, let alone, it can only be equipped at the end of the game at level 13, but now you can't even make it. So what I'm hoping by this playthrough is to see if maybe if we get some patterns this time. I'm not sure. The achievement doesn't exist in the beta, so my guess is that we won't find one, but there is that possibility, so we'll look into that. As you can see, a lot, this list feels more barren than it was before. And one thing that they did change for crafting is that gold cost to craft these items have been supposedly reduced, although that's really high. Of course, that's a high level. Let me find maybe a low-level armor that I could make before. Gosh, I can't even craft shoulders anymore that I can wear, except for this, level 11. You can't do level 9 stuff. Is there anything? I think everything is now minimum level of 9. Wow. Oh, nope, there's a 4. Okay, 495, that actually feels higher. This could just be an overall crafting change that doesn't affect this beta. I don't know. But one thing is for sure is that they did mention that the cost to train the blacksmith has doubled. And if you look here, it's 7,000 gold. That's a lot more than what it was before. Now, Here's the difference, though. This page of blacksmithing started at 10, went up to 25, I do believe, and now it's gone down to 1. So the amount of pages you need to level your blacksmith may not be as high. So we'll still be farming for them, but we may not have to spend hours and hours and hours farming them. Now, to compensate for this, it looks like more crafting materials are needed to create items. So you'll notice here, just this stiletto here, which is well, that's level 23. That requires 10 subtle essences. Let me go just the lesser apprentice wand. See, that's 3. It used to be like 2. The journeyman's wand. Wow, that's changed because the wand I made for my wizard was available in the beta. There were 2 wands you could make that you could wear in the beta. So honestly, there's a ton of changes here. None of these changes are extensively documented right now. Not even Diablo fans has that because it might be hard to get that information because as you can see here, a lot has changed on the blacksmith. Diablo fans does have a very big list, which I've condensed down to kind of a handheld version here just for the beta. So I don't have all that information. But materials required to craft has been increased. Now, another thing that's changed is the chance to salvage a rare item from blues have been reduced. You used to have a 10% chance to get one of those fallen teeth.
Are you Leah? Rumford said you survived the fallen star.
I did. I came back.
Well, now it's only 5%. So you have basically 50% less chance now of finding that.
This is killing business.
The dead will overwhelm us.
I will send them back.
Thank you.
Alright, so one other thing I kind of want to go over since we talked about groups is the Templar. They changed him a little bit. His normal attacks now deal 15% of weapon damage, so it looks like if you equip him with a weapon,
We've been under siege for 6 days.
he may only get 15% of that. I'll have to look at that when we get to Templar. His intervene has been reduced from 5 seconds to 3 seconds. And it looks like what they've done is that item bonuses given to your followers will increase their stats by 2.5 of whatever is listed on the item. So if it gives strength, it might give basically 2.5 a multiplier on that. Again, I'll go over that once I actually get to the Templar.
How can I help fight the risen dead?
I admire your courage, but Captain...
Your warrior.
Well, I have seen...
They're attacking the barricades!
My Barbarian's holding that dagger in a nice stab position.
That's one of the wretched mothers. There are more of them in the ruins down the road.
Alright, I don't need the buckler. Might as well use the robes. Alright. So as you can tell, a lot of these items levels have been increased, so I do not have as a massive experience boost as I had before. Let's go ahead and go over the skill system real quick. Oh, it's been changed a little bit. It looks a little nicer now, actually. So they've definitely been upgrading it. I almost think there's a tiny shift here. It looks like the lineup is not quite there. It's off by a couple pixels. At least that's what it looks like on my end here. But it's a little more polished now, so I like to see that. What I'm going to do here is, oh, that's nice. The arrows are a little more off to the side now instead of up, so it's a little easier to kind of see them. Very nice. My advanced tooltips are working here. Now, one thing I want to do is I'm going to right-click. Okay. That's a new change. Okay, so according to the patch notes, in elective mode, skills can now be dragged and dropped from the skill interface into hotkey slots. So if I'm in here and I clicked here like bash, I could supposedly drag it here. Let me use something. Maybe not. Oh, it's because I was using... Okay, let's try this. I'm going to go into skills. Let's go into secondary. Maybe not. Dragged and dropped from the skill interface in the hotkey slot, so I'm not seeing that yet, but you can right-click a hotkey to open the skill interface, and that is working. So if I close that and I right-click here, it'll bring me right up to the skill interface, and let me choose from here, so I'll hit accept. And what we'll do is we'll try that out a bit as I get more skills, just to see how that plays out, to see if we can't get the other part working. Okay. Now, another general change to the game, before I go over the skills, has been that it looks like they found a way to make bosses work with elite packs, because Blizzard has stated before that they want you to go out and find elite packs. They're going to be the ones that really start giving you the items that you want. And people were kind of concerned, well then what's the point of hunting bosses? You know, the bosses are going to be harder and they're not going to drop as much loot. Well, apparently bosses are going to be tied in with rare and elite mobs. And what I mean by that is that when you kill a rare or an elite mob, you're going to gain a buff to your magic and gold find. This has not been documented by Blizzard. These are undocumented changes found by Diablo fans in the beta code here. So keep in mind that this is something that can and will change, can and probably will change, as things like this, until you get an official announcement, don't expect it to happen that way. They have said they have a system in place, and they're getting ready to talk about it, and so we'll hear from them soon. Trademark. Alright, so while I'm continuing to kill here, I'll go over the skills once I have another one probably, so I apologize that I haven't gone over them yet. But items here in general, several aspects of the game economy have basically been adjusted here. And what they've basically said is this is includes but not limited to gold drops, item sale values, vendor costs, and repair costs. So they've made tweaks to what we're spending our gold on. They haven't said if, for example, gold drops from monsters. In the last patch they said gold drops from monsters were increased. Well, that may not be true anymore. They could have been increased again, they could have been reduced. We don't know because they didn't specifically say. So basically, they're probably looking at the economy and what they're expecting us to be spending our money on, and to make sure that we don't have an abundance of gold, and that gold is still important. Another change that has been made. Now, you notice I still have my experience rings. That's because I earned them before this patch. In this patch, rings and amulets are not available anymore. Not in the beta. Basically, rings and amulets will now be available at higher levels. So as a result, they're just not in the beta. So basically, at some point past the Skeleton King. Now this includes the fact that before, amulets could only be found in the room before the Skeleton King. So this is no longer the case. Amulets cannot drop from those monsters anymore, and apparently neither can rings.
Dark is done. These unholy creatures can rest now.
Alright, so I've gone over all of that. One more thing real quick, as far as monsters are concerned, there are a couple changes, and this is why I want to go through this beta from start to finish right now, is that, well, for one, very specifically, Mira Amon, the Blacksmith's wife, she'll drop better loot now, so there's a reason to kill her. And, well, aside from helping Hadric, of course, you know. And not only that, but monster damage has been increased. Per the patch notes, monster damage has been increased. There was a blue post earlier that said they doubled the damage monsters were doing. So we're going to see just how close I can get to death here. Alright, now Barbarians. Barbarians now have an innate 30% passive damage reduction versus all sources. This damage reduction is applied at the same time as all other damage reducing effects, such as armor, but prior to shield block. So we will take less damage now on our melee characters, because monks get that same bonus. Alright, this is probably an in-game change because only levels 1 to 20 have been affected by this additional damage buff. Alright, so what we're going to do is we're going to look at Bash here. 6 Fury per attack. Brutally smash enemy for 150% weapon damage with a 20% chance to knock back. This has been buffed from 145 to 150%, so it got about a 3% buff there. I'm already using it, as you've seen. Cleave here. See, once again, I still can't drag and drop. I was kind of hoping... Okay. I can drag and drop from here. That's interesting. Oh, and if you drag the here you go. If you drag it off the left or right mouse button, you get your melee attack back. So that's really what you want. I still don't think that's the most elegant solution, but I'll take it. Alright, as far as Hammer of the Ancients is concerned, I got that at level 2. This has been buffed. Call forth Massive Hammer to smash enemies directly in front of you for 200% weapon damage. Hammer of the Ancients has a 5% increased critical hit chance. Now, from patch 12 to 13, this was increased. It used to be 180%. It's now 200%, so about 11% increase in damage. However, the undocumented nerf of the critical hit chance came with patch 14. It went from 15% to 5%. So let me right-click there, put Hammer of the Ancients, and what I'll do is I'll go ahead and we'll start using Cleave. I actually like that I can right-click on the skill now instead of having to cancel out and go back here and like that. So I'll just do that. And Cleave. 5 Fury per attack. Swing your weapon in a wide arc to deal 120% weapon damage to all enemies caught in the swing. This was buffed from 115% to 120, a 4% buff. So of course, as you can see, Bash does more damage, but Cleave has an area effect. So once again, your area of effect abilities not going to basically be hitting too hard. Looks like I can wear some more of my experience gear, so I'll put them on. And eventually I'll learn to talk. There we go. And I'm just going to move these over real quick like, so we can move on. Trying not to move at too slow of a pace here, but as you can tell, there are a lot of changes that to go over here basically. And right now, I'm killing these monsters pretty fast. Of course, I do have a weapon that does quite a bit of damage compared to the start. Your normal starting weapon only does 3.0. But because I don't have a lot of other experience gear right now that I can use, normally I would have half of my gear on by now. I would like to go ahead and use this. So as we get further into the beta, though, of course, it'll start to come back where I won't be killing monsters as quickly. There was 24 gold out of that barrel.
What happened to this treasure? Are the fiends hoarding it? More fury.
Oops, don't need any of that. Just pick up the gloves there. Actually, one thing I want to look at is they adjusted prices. Wow, look at that. 2 gold on this item. Doesn't sell for much at all. Let's look at some of the others, too. How about these blues? Whoa, okay, here we go. Massive change to way items sell. Look at this, 36% or 36 gold to sell these rings. And as you notice, the rings also require level 4. That's 1 level higher than before. 32, 103 for rares, 68, 126. So items will now sell for a lot more than they used to. But notice it's only the blues. So their idea behind not picking up white and gray items still exists. So we're not going to be picking up white and grays to sell at vendors anymore. There's really no need to. And it looks like gold from monsters here has definitely been increased, or is feeling like that to me, because I'm seeing higher gold values even at this early in the game. As you can see now, I haven't been taking a lot of damage, but that's mostly because monsters are dying just that fast. So we'll see how that works out as I get the tougher monsters.
Not enough fury.
Ogden and his wife have offered to let me and grandmother continue to stay with them. I think we will, now that the troubles are over. I am still tormented by horrific nightmares. I keep hoping they will fade, but they seem to be getting stronger.
Alright. So, I've covered most of the basic information, thankfully, so now a lot of it's just going to be the essential playthrough. Thankfully, like I said, I've taken a lot of the patch notes from the last patch and this one, and tried to condense them into one document to make it a lot easier to find everything. Thankfully, because the Barbarian was the only class I hadn't done, I was able to just condense everything down to the Barbarian and then just the stuff that had been changed for the other classes for when I get to them. So I was going to make this a little bit quicker and easier for me to do these videos, and hopefully I won't fall too far behind. And I do have to apologize that I know that my content streams have been kind of slowing down a bit. There's kind of been a lot going on my end, taking up my time, and you know, some personal matters I had to tend to. So, but I'm hoping to kind of keep the content coming for you guys.
Thank you for your help.
Nor should she. I will help her find him. I grow stronger. Come.
We'll need to open the...
Alright, just to get a little more experience, I'm going to go get her journal here, and then I'll get Deckard's.
This is my room. Do you like it? A miracle has happened. A hero, like one out of Uncle Deckard's tales, appeared and saved us. I know in my heart that my uncle still lives, and I pray that the hero will bring him home safely. Doesn't...
We have come at last to Tristram's old cathedral. This is where Diablo, Lord of Terror, first corrupted mankind. This is where I may finally find the answers I seek. Leah worries after my safety, but I believe information vital to defeating the last lords of the burning hells can be found here.
Alright, so... let me pull up here. I did notice something here while I was listening to that. When the drag and drop operation here, I had spoke before about changing skills around and not being able to move things without going back, suffering the 15-second cooldown of moving skills around. For example, if I wanted to swap the position of Cleave and Hammer the Ancients, I'd have to change each one individually. It's looking like now, as you can see there, I was able to just pick up one by left-clicking and moving it, and now I can just move them around just like that, not a single cooldown or penalty to that. I can now move everything I have slotted to my skill bar to new positions easily. So what I want to do here is, you notice how it says Cleave and Hammer the Ancients, and they are in the right order up there. I'm going to go ahead and just do the quick change here. Open up the skill UI, and there it is. The change is reflected. And then just right click here, and now I have Ground Stomp. Alright, they must have changed this a little bit, because my notes say, according to the Blizzard site, I should have had Threatening Shout. So let me look for Ground Stomp. It used to be given at level 8, so it looks like they have changed some skills around. I might have to look into that. Ground Stomp. Okay, generate 15 Fury, 12-second cooldown, smash the ground, stunning all enemies within 12 yards for 4 seconds. Now, this was nerfed in that it doesn't do weapon damage anymore. It used to do 110%. So that is honestly a nice chunk of damage being lost. But because of the stun, that's probably why. It's a utility ability, as well as generating Fury not costing it. If it costed Fury, it might have that damage component. Now, additional benefit here, though, is that the stun was increased from 3 seconds to 4 seconds. Now, one thing that they did change with this patch is that Ground Stomp can now break barrels. Apparently, when they removed the damage, you couldn't break barrels with it. Honestly...
Adria was my mother, but I don't know much about her. She died when I was very young. I was raised by Uncle Deckard.
kind of understand that it wouldn't break, but there's no...
I'm told he was a great
Interesting.
warrior who was lost when Tristram fell to the
They
demons.
took the chest away. The chest, there was always a chest there, but it never dropped anything good. Now it's just a person. Apparently a lot of changes that they haven't really told us about in this.
Look, hidden cellar. Follow me.
My mother had her secrets.
People said she was a witch, but I never believed it. Captain Dalton!
Not enough fury.
Alright, now I actually found some adventuring pants there. Let's see what they grant. 2 experience, and mine are already 4. Okay. Well, now that I leveled, I can go ahead and wear both of my plus experience rings, which I'm really glad I've been holding on to those considering the changes. Losing rings and amulets at this, I was not expecting that change, to be honest with you. It kind of came out of left field. So let's go ahead and put on our new adventuring helm with more experience on it, and some experience boots. And the rest of our experience gear we don't really need. Actually, I don't even need these pants because it's just +2 and these are +4. Alright. These are items I've picked up apparently, so don't need to worry about those. And there we are.
Here's the key.
I will go. Stay here and learn what you can.
Thank you.
Aiden came to me last night. I suspected what was lurking within his troubled heart. I consoled him as best I could. Regardless, wherever he's headed, hell will surely follow in his wake. The shadows close in on Tristram once again, but like Aiden, I'll be gone before they fall.
So I am noticing my health bar dipping down just a tiny bit, but again, monsters are dying pretty quickly. It's not a big deal. Not only that, but monster AI hasn't really been changed in the beginning. Monsters at this level right now are very slow. They shamble, they are not super aggressive, some will even stop right in front of you before they attack. Expected from normal mode, to be honest. Alright, I'm going to go up and I'm going to go ahead and use my ground stomp.
Tristram Cathedral. The fallen star lies within.
And I'm going to go use it to destroy this item here. There you go. Doesn't do damage, but it still breaks stuff. Kind of wish they'd do that to, say, Frost Nova or something. Not that you should really be using Frost Nova to destroy stuff, but then again, why would you be using Ground Stomp to destroy stuff? Oh well, to each their own, right?